Hey Canucks fans, welcome to Clay's Canucks commentary for Monday, November the 5th. I'm Clay Emo at Canuck Clay on Twitter. I'm at Clayton Emo on Instagram. I'm a founding member of the GLCPC, the Good Looking Canucks Positivity Club, and this is my Canucks take, all in one take. I'm pretty pumped, not just because of Elias Pettersson, not just because of the Vancouver Canucks hot start, but we're coming off our biggest work event of the year, a grade 7 rally. We had 2,100 students, 200 volunteers. It was nuts. I was in Surrey all weekend, as I mentioned. I recorded that quick video after the Friday night where I butchered Elias Pettersson's name. I'll talk about that in a second. But I'm excited. I'm in a good mood. The Canucks are doing well. The work event went well. I'm still in my van. One more day of loading stuff and moving stuff, but I'll be back in my familiar confines of my car tomorrow. So let's talk about a few things. And yes, as expected, I didn't really check in on Saturday or Sunday because I was quite swamped with our event. But a couple of reflections on a couple of poll questions actually that I put out on Twitter over the weekend. But first, after that 7-6 victory, that amazing, the heart-stopping, memorable 7-6 victory over the Avalanche on Friday night, I recorded a quick 90-second video of which I professed my excitement for Pettersson and Besser. And in doing so, I butchered Pettersson's last name. And I tried to, not try to be cool, I try to go with what I heard him saying recently, what I've heard other players saying, but the people have spoken, and I'm a man of the people. And it's, whether you're Swedish background or any background, you basically took me to town and said, no, Clay, the way you said it didn't make sense. So I will no longer say Elias Pettersson. I will go back to Pettersson. I will not go with the proper Swedish Pettersson or whatever, because that doesn't sound natural. Asian guy trying to speak Swedish. So I'll go with Pettersson. I think we've agreed that that's the way. And, you know, it's funny. The first name, I like to say Elias. Sometimes I say Elias, depending how fast I say it. I don't really worry too much about how I say his first name. I know I don't say Elias, and I'd like to put the emphasis on the first syllable, i.e. like this, Elias or Elias, not Elias or Elias. I hope that makes sense to you. Doesn't matter. Let's not overthink it, but I do know, no matter how I say the first name, I will never call him by his last name at Pettersson, at least not for the next little while. So I'm going with Elias Pettersson or Elias Pettersson, depends how it rolls off my tongue. Call him that, call him this, just don't call him late for dinner. That was horrible. Okay, so let's get that out of the way. And it's funny, actually, it's ironic that I butchered his name, but it's not ironic that I talked about name and how pronunciation is so important to me, because my last name of Emo, I-M-O-O, because of the way it's spelled, I get a lot of Emu and Imu, which I get because the way it looks. And actually in Japanese, the double O, you say every syllable, every vowel, so it's actually Imo. So that sounds kind of funny though. It sounds like I don't know how to speak. So I go with Emo, and I'm going to put a little 90-second video down below in my, my description, where I've actually spoken at conferences about how to pronounce my last name properly, and just a little fun thing that I did, and it's just a way to teach people. But many of you that have referred to me in your blogs or in when I meet you, it is indeed Emo and not Imu or Emu. But hey, I'm not going to get too upset. But yeah, if you want to nail it properly, it is indeed Clay Emo. Okay, enough about names. Let's talk about the 2 poll questions I put out. The first one was on Saturday, and I got so excited with Pettersson's performance on Saturday night. Friday night, excuse me. On Saturday, I put out a poll and basically said this: you're starting a franchise from scratch. You can take anyone you want except for Connor McDavid, because you're picking second. Let's say Connor McDavid goes first. And I said, who do you pick second? And I put out Austin Matthews, Elias Pettersson, Nathan McKinnon, and then a fourth one said other. Well, I got 1,900 votes. My polls never get 1,900 votes, and I'll tell you why in a second. But the final voting looked like this: 57% for Austin Matthews, excuse me, 26% for Elias Pettersson, 12% for Nathan McKinnon, and 5% for other. I had a guy mention Drew Doughty, someone mentioned Patrick Laine, which is fine. Rasmus Dahlin was in there as well. So basically, the number we're looking at is 57% for Matthews, 26% for Pettersson. I was really surprised, A, at the number of votes that I got, and B, at that discrepancy. I expected Matthews and Pettersson to be neck and neck. I wouldn't have been surprised nor upset if Matthews beat Pettersson, because Matthews is a tiny bit more established, despite Pettersson's amazing start. But I was surprised at the 31%, margin, 57 to 26. And then I found out, it didn't show up on my mentions, but I found out that very popular and very well-known hockey blogger, Jeff Villette, out of Toronto, he runs, I think it's called Daily Faceoff, his own blog. I think he's done work, obviously he's done work with other companies and other media outlets, but he's got a big following on Twitter. He retweeted my tweet, which is very nice. But in doing so, and being a Toronto-based blogger, although he talks about the entire league, but based out of Toronto, just like I'm based out of Vancouver. A lot of Toronto fans chimed in, of course, and it set off a fury, a crazy plethora of exchanges, some constructive, some not so constructive, but it's very interesting to read through all of them. But yes, that's why not only did I get so many votes on this poll, 1,900, but that's why I also think the discrepancy was so big between Matthews and Pettersson, with Matthews doubling, at least doubling Pettersson's vote. So I asked you, first question, put in the comments below, if you were starting a hockey team from scratch and you were not allowed to pick Connor McDavid, would you pick Austin Matthews or Elias Pettersson? And I asked you to take your Canucks blinders, your Canucks hat off for a second and try and think objectively. They're both centers. They're both, play different style, but obviously both very, very talented. Generational, if you want to call it, but we'll see. But whatever it may be, who would you pick first, Matthews or Pettersson? Then, I like doing polls, and I knew I was going to do a video today. So my second question was this. When will the Canucks make the playoffs next? This one, not as popular, but still got 350 votes. Still going on right now, actually. And I said 4 choices. This season, next season, 19 and 20. 2 seasons from now, 2021, or 3 seasons from now, 21, 22. So this season or the 3 seasons outwards. And of the 350 votes, it goes like this. 32% say this season, 48% say next season, 17% say 3 years from now, and 3% say 4 years from now, or basically 3 seasons from now, if that makes sense. Again, 32% this season, 48% next season, 17% the year after that, 3% the year after that. So in essence, 32 plus 48, 80% of you are saying that the Canucks won't be in the playoffs either this season or next season. Are you surprised by that? I'm not. I've always said 2 or 3 years down the road. If you count this season as year 1, then year 2, 2 years down the road, would technically be the end of next season. So I've always said 2 or 3 years, obviously hoping for the sooner as opposed to the latter. So maybe it will be as early as next season. I would love it to be this season. I don't, as you know, I don't worry about where we finish from a standpoint of, I never say that T word, as you know, but, going for Jack Hughes or someone like that, winning the lottery. It's a lottery. We never know what's going to happen. If it happens, that's awesome. But I'd be excited if the Canucks make the playoffs this year. Do I think they will? I don't know. Despite their hot start, they're not. The Pacific Division is kind of weak right now. But Calgary, Edmonton, surprising. Anaheim will always be there. Vegas got to wake up. San Jose's got to wake up. So I think the Canucks will be in tough still. But they've been doing it. The thing about this year is they've been doing it without 6 roster players or 5 roster players for extended periods of time. Tanev, Edler, Beagle, Sutter, and Berchi all out. Then Besser has missed time. Pettersson has missed time. There's a lot of guys that have missed time. Whereas last year, we know, at the start of December, and because I was at that game, I know this, as soon as Bo Horvat went down, the Canucks season went down, basically, and their strong start went all to waste. Are the Canucks better suited to handle, adversity like that? If Horvat went down, would they get through with Pettersson and Besser? If Pettersson went down, would they be able to get through with Besser and Horvat? If Besser went down, would they get through with Pettersson? And I think I just said the same thing. Let's try that again. If Horvat went down, would they get through with Pettersson and Besser? If Pettersson went down, would they get through with Besser and Horvat? Or if Besser went down, would they get through with Pettersson and Horvat? You know why it sounds like I'm saying the same thing? Because Pettersson and Besser sound the same thing to me. I think you know what I'm trying to say. Between the big 3, Bo Horvat, Elias Pettersson, and Brock Besser, are the Canucks better suited to withstand an injury to one of them? God forbid 2 of them, although we had a 2-game stretch where both Besser and Pettersson weren't playing. We did okay, but I kind of don't like that. It's a little scary. But we're doing okay without our top 2 D-men, so who knows? So that's my second question to you, actually, is when do you think the Canucks will make the playoffs? Is it this season and next season? Is it 2 out from now or 3 out from now? And then I guess a sub-poll question or another question you could answer is, could the Canucks withstand a major injury to one of their big 3? I'm not hoping this. I'm not cursing this. Remember, I don't believe in those type of things, but I think it's a fair question to ask. So leave a comment below on those couple of things. Who would you pick, Matthews or Pettersson, if you're starting a team? When will the Canucks make the playoffs next? And do you think the Canucks are better equipped to withstand a major injury to one of their top 3? Leave a comment below. I love to read, reply, and react. Or I think it's read, react, and reply. No, read, react, and reply. I'm so out of practice. I'm stuttering. I don't know what I'm doing. Maybe I'm still thrown off by Pettersson versus Peterson. Anyways, leave a comment below. I'd love to start engaging with you a lot more regularly now that my big work event is over. Lastly, the Canucks are in Detroit, kicking off a 6-game road trip, take on the Detroit Red Wings. And this is a very winnable road trip. Not just this game, but this whole trip. They're playing Detroit. They're playing Minnesota. This isn't in order. They're playing Detroit. They're doing Boston. They're doing the Rangers. They're doing the Islanders. Minnesota's thrown in there. And there's one other team thrown in there. Oh, Buffalo. Yeah. So it's Detroit, Buffalo, Boston, Rangers, Islanders, and Minnesota. Not in that order, but could we see the Canucks go 3-3 at least like they did on their first 6-game road trip? Could they get 8 points, maybe 9 or 10 points? Who knows? We will soon see. But it's exciting. It's exciting time to be a Canucks fan. Exciting time to follow guys like Pettersson, Besser, and Horvat. Exciting time to just to see what's happening. And speaking of exciting news, I'm just waiting for confirmation, but I think by the end of this week, I'll be able to share with you some very, very exciting news. And it has to do with not just seeing a Canucks All-Star, but maybe a couple of more All-Stars in the new year. I'll leave that with you, and I'll loop back to it later this week. Canucks fans, thanks for watching. Thanks for your loyalty. I appreciate you as always. Subscribe if you'd like to. Like if you'd like to. Comment below. And thanks for watching. Enjoy this one more off day, and tomorrow, Canucks Red Wings in Detroit. God bless, and go Canucks go.